Right, thanks very much to Damien and the guys at Nakama for hosting this, Emma, Ellie, all the rest of them, Courtney. Thank you so much for hosting this, and I'm really honoured to be here to talk to you guys tonight about some of the stuff I do. So, as Damien mentioned, my name's Greg. I'm a designer, illustrator, visual rocker is what I call myself, if you want to call it that. So I've been doing what I do for just over 10 years, and I've worked with brands, agencies, clients, but I've been running my freelance company for 2 years now, Phoenix Studios. And the kind of stuff I do a variety of things, everything from web design, print design, illustration, and a bit of everything in between. And I've been really fortunate to work with some awesome clients and some awesome people, so I've been really lucky along the way. And if you're on social media, go ahead and add me, add Phoenix Studios, or you can have a word with me after and we can chat, no worries. So, because this event is called DesignMakeDo, I thought I'd split up my talk into 3 little sections. So we've got design being the first section. So we're going to rewind a bit, we're going to go back all the way back to the 90s, and this is kind of where I started my journey. You might recognise some of this, there's a bit of code, and this was kind of like where it all started really. I was just mucking around with the web before it was really big, trying to understand how to use Flash and how to do all these animations. And so I went through and did this at uni, and after that I thought, you know what, I absolutely love design. this is me, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I absolutely love design, so this is best for me. Yeah. But then you kind of fast forward about 10 years of working with brands, agencies, clients, and you start to feel a bit jaded. I've done all this stuff, I've done some pretty good work and I'm pretty proud of it, but I just feel like, something's not quite right. I don't really feel like I'm really 100% satisfied with where I'm at. So just thinking about this, why is this? I've got kind of pixels dripping from my fingers and grids coming out of my eyes every day. Just if I ever see another grid and like code just coming out my my curly brackets. Yeah. So I was like, am I having some sort of midlife design crisis or something? Does this happen to everyone? I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, where you just suddenly start getting fed up of doing design work. I was trying to understand why. Why am I feeling this way? So. I love rock and roll, so I was like, it must be something, and I was just thinking, doing design and stuff for other people, for clients and stuff, it's like seeing this amazing band perform in front of you. But there's something you've got to understand. You're not actually in the band, You're creating the stuff with the designers and creators, but the clients, the band, they're the ones rocking out on the stage, So I was kind of thinking, well, how do I get in the band? I want to be in the band. I want to be the guy rocking out on the stage creatively. So, thought, right, I need to change myself. I need to change what I'm doing, do something different, and try and reinvent myself a bit. So I need my own thing. I need to just start again, do something outside of my 9-to-5 work. So at the time, this is going back several years, I had a little portfolio going, nothing too big, and I kind of just left it there. I didn't really update it. It just got left there for years. You know how it goes when you don't update your portfolio. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to start redesigning this after hours, after 9-to-5. So I just started redesigning my logo bit by bit, trying to chip away at getting this redesign done. And I was still working 9-to-5. Finally got my website redesigned. This is actually, it's still the same website today, 2 years later. But ultimately, working full time just kind of felt like this. Every day. Client changes, commuting, meetings about meetings, so every day, without fail, this was my day. So I was just like, okay, right, I need to do something about this, because I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but that's how I feel about full-time. So I was like, cool, right, so I crowd-surfed to freelance. I got over the barrier, nice security guard helped me over with all his tattoos. So I crowd surfed, I was like, great, I'm going to go freelance. I'm going to do it, no worries. And I went straight into kind of what can only be described as a freelance desert. Because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So I had absolutely no clients, no one at all that I could go to. And even though I'd been working at agencies, companies, I didn't really have any contacts because they all wanted to keep the clients for themselves, of course. They didn't want to give me any clients. So yeah, no real roadmap. I was like, I'll go freelance. You know, how hard can it be? And it turns out it's pretty hard. But ultimately, the feeling deep down within me was that freedom is good. Freedom is the best thing, you know, you can have ultimately in life. But with that comes a lot of fear. You know, how am I going to get clients? How am I going to pay the rent? You know, how am I going to pay all my bills? Especially in London, we all know how expensive it is here. So the main thing is really just to take action, to actually do something about it. And I thought, right, well, how can I take action? Right, I'm going to actually do what I do best and actually make and create something. You know, this is what I do. So this leads us on to our second section, make. Make things for you. This is probably the single most important piece of advice I can give you, is that you just need to make stuff for yourself. You know, it's easy for us to say, yeah, I'm too tired, I've got too much going on, I've got family, all this stuff. But ultimately, for me, I feel like to be happy, if you're a creative person, just do stuff for you. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad or anything. So, taking that kind of advice on board, I invented sort of my first little side project back in 2014 called Soccer Hotshots. And the idea behind this was like, I was a really big fan of Coke, Nike, I always wanted to work with them, and I always saw their ads on TV and stuff, and I was just like, well, I want to try and put out some little adverts or little bits of content, see how that goes. So I put together these like little social bits of content, putting them on Twitter and stuff. So this is Pepsi and this is Coke. Didn't put any brand names on there, obviously I didn't want to get sued. So yeah, this was actually my first sort of go at motion. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, but it kind of was fun, you know, along the way. So I put those out there. Thought, okay, I'll do a couple more. So we've got Adidas and we've got I'm Glove in it. I'm not a copywriter, but I'm quite happy with that.
Don't rule it out.
Yeah, I'm not changing. Don't worry, all copywriters are safe. I'm not changing anytime soon. So here's a couple more. This is Budweiser and this is Castrol. And these were all the sponsors for the World Cup. These are the people I was like, all right, I'm trying to target these people. They're going to give me some work for sure. Yeah. And you know, I put them out there and I'm like, yeah, this is really nice. Okay, anything more? Give me some work. So unfortunately, you know, that kind of backfired a little bit. They were like, oh, this is cool, but nothing else. So far I haven't had anything from them, but you know, a few months down the line, and kind of in part thanks to the lovely people at Nakama who actually landed me this role, Amber, I'm looking at you, I actually managed to get to work with Rugby World Cup. So what it is, they'd seen my stuff and they really liked it, and they thought, right, we can get you on board to do some stuff. I was like, oh, amazing. So this was my first freelance gig, couldn't believe it. Bit nervous, and they're like, right, we need some illustrations making for the Rugby World Cup. I'm like, okay, well, how hard can it be? I mean, I'm a web designer, not really an illustrator, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to do what I can, and I really want to get into illustration, so there we go. So kind of nervously just started kind of doing little illustrations for them. So this is Dan Carter from New Zealand, from the New Zealand team. And I wanted it to feel like it was kind of bursting through a wall or something with all these shards breaking off. So this was like a little tester. Sent it off to them and they said, oh, this is really cool, but we can't actually use any players in this. I wish you'd have told me that. So I spent like 2 days trying to illustrate this thing, trying to understand how to do it. They're like, yeah, no, it has to be generic. We can't have any kind of real players in it. I'm like, okay. I'll make something a bit more generic then. So this guy kind of bursting through a wall, but this time with a bit of ticker tape coming off, trying to make it a bit more festive and stuff. And like, sent that off, thought, oh, you know, this is it, you know, I'm really happy with this. And they're like, yeah, this is really cool too, but yeah, it's too complicated, there's too much stuff going on, and you know, we're going to be printing this quite big, so it probably wouldn't work out. And I was like, an A3 piece of paper or something? I'm not really sure. So it ended up turning out like this, and this is actually the final one, and they're like, yeah, we'll go with this. It uses kind of like the branded hoop for the Rugby World Cup. They're like, can you do a couple more? I'm like, okay, yeah, it's getting there. And so I ended up with like a player, a cup, and some fans. Now at this point, I handed it off to them, like, cool, and it was about a year. I had to wait an actual year before I actually knew where this was going to be used. So I couldn't talk about it, which was a pain in the ass, but I sat on it for about a year. And so the day comes when the Rugby World Cup starts, and I head down to the fan zones, and I thought, oh, you know, might have a little poster or something, and it was bloody well everywhere. So I was like, oh, am I going to get in trouble over this? Yeah, so yeah, it ended up being on a flag. I'm a web designer, I'm not a flag designer. I don't know what I'm doing. So it was kind of crazy just walking around all these fan zones and seeing my little illustration being used. Really humbling, and just shows you that if you put together a little personal project, you never know where it might lead. You might end up with your design on a flag. So there we go. And this brings me on to my final little section called Do. So what I'm trying to say is just position yourself to do what you love. Now, the rugby stuff and the soccer hotshots thing is great and stuff, but if I'm honest with myself, I'm not really a massive sports fan. You know, I love other things. You know, I'm not really into sports. So this is actually a little snapshot of what I love. Everything from music. I'm a massive music fan. I love rock and roll, I love anime, 80s cartoons, Jimi Hendrix, anything. All this kind of colourful stuff. And that's what I feel like I want my work to be about from now on. So I'm like, right, I'm going to do the same sort of thing, but I'm going to go full on heavy metal into this stuff. So I started with the next project called Love Music. And the idea behind it was just to illustrate different music genres graphically. So the first one is obviously metal, really fast and hard, pop, bubbly and fun. Hip hop and punk. Hip hop got the kind of chrome gold thing going on there, and punk really rebellious. I don't know if anyone knows, this is an homage to quite a famous punk album.
Yeah.
Never mind bollocks, yes, exactly. Okay, so yes, there ended up being 18 of these. So these are the 15 best ones that came out, right? And I just put these out on social media. And I thought, right, you know, these are cool and stuff, but I want to do more bands and illustrations about bands. So this kind of further led to the next personal project, Rock Duos. And the idea behind this was to kind of play on the iconic guitarist and singer combinations, so Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, and trying to just kind of illustrate them in a really vibrant, vivid style. Is kind of what I was trying to do. Again, kind of borrowing on that anime sort of style. And then you've got Page and Plant, obviously Led Zeppelin. And then finally, Mick and Keith. And here's a couple of crops. You can see the kind of detail that went in there. And again, this is kind of like, from the Rugby World Cup, I learned so much stuff, so I just started to filter that through into my own work. And this shows a little bit of the process of how I went about that. So starting off with a little vector illustration, which I then coloured, and then kind of doing the brushwork in Photoshop and just trying to layer it up as I went along. Again, I wasn't really sure what I was doing. Funny little story here. I ended up doing a lot of the work on a plane at 30,000 feet in the air. Now, I was on a plane on holiday to New Zealand, and I had 13 hours to kill. So I managed to get my iPad out, turn it into like a little graphics tablet, and started just painting on the plane. So there's all these people looking like, what the hell's he doing on a plane? Painting stuff on his iPad, what a weirdo. So, you know, that kind of has now led me onto my final project, and it's my most recent project, which is called Rockerbots. Now this actually started just over a year ago as little sketches. I had this crazy idea, another crazy idea, to try and fuse robots in a kind of Tron style with really famous rockers for some reason. So I thought, right, I'm going to do this, it's going to be amazing, I'm going to put in so much detail, it's going to be incredible. But, you know, ultimately I didn't actually think how long it was going to take me to do, because the kind of style I was trying to go for was sort of this really meticulous, detailed circuit boards, and that stuff takes a long time to do. So, you know, over a period of a year around client work, I was doing this till the wee hours of the morning, and then finally around May I could actually start teasing the project on Instagram and on Twitter and stuff, just start teasing it a little bit. And these are actually some of the final illustrations. So this is James. I don't know if you guys know potentially which band this is from. No? Okay. Well done. Oh. £5 for that man. So this is James Hetfield from Metallica. And I even went so far as to actually give him a neon beard. I've never done a neon beard before, but this is a first. And then kind of going into a lot of detail with the hair and stuff, and I wanted to make sure the hair wasn't too rigid, and that was quite challenging. And then Slash, of course, Slash from Guns N' Roses, awesome. The glasses took me a horrendous amount of time, but I've got those in there. A bit more detail on the hair and stuff. So yeah, so this style, I'd never tried this style before. This is Matt Bellamy from Muse. And I was just really taking a lot of time to try and get this stuff right. Now, I took a year over this thing, and I thought, right, okay, that's it now. I've spent so much time, but I thought, why don't I just try and put it out to a couple of design blogs and see what happens? You know, you never know. And ended up getting featured on Abduzido, which is, I don't know if anybody knows DesignMakeDo. It's quite a big design blog, and I've been following it for about a decade or something. So I couldn't believe I got featured, so it's just really humbling, again, to actually see it on the homepage. It's insane to see it there. And, you know, after that, I was like, oh, what do I do with this project? I spent like just over a year doing it. I showed it to a few friends, and they're like, well, maybe you should like put it on a t-shirt. Okay, it could look pretty cool. So I just kind of mocked it up on a t-shirt really quickly in Photoshop, and I was like, oh, it's not bad, it's all right. I've never ever done physical products before, but I'm actually going to be doing these on t-shirts and actually putting them online in my own little store. So these are a couple of the t-shirts there. And this is, like, it's still not being launched, but it'll be launched in a couple of weeks, and you can sign up to the mailing list or whatever. But yeah, this is kind of how the shop's going to look when it's open. And of course, as every rock brand needs plectrums. So if you come and have a sneaky little word with me after, I might have a few plectrums. I was going to be really rock and roll and throw them out, but I have actually got them here, so, but maybe. Yeah, come and see me after and, you know, grab a plectrum. So I guess what I'm saying, guys, just to wrap up, basically to survive and succeed in this crazy creative world we live in, you know, you need to take risks for your happiness, you need to take risks for your creativity. You've just got to take risks. Sometimes you've just got to crowd surf and just try a new path if you're not happy with what you're doing day to day. And just try and make your own stuff, you know. Putting out this project, you know, I managed to get a really good gig out of it, so you never know where it could lead. Getting out of your comfort zone, you know, I'd never really done illustration on this kind of level before. It's just crazy, and you know, I managed to get through it, managed to get it done. But ultimately, create things you love, because at the end of the day, you've got to love what you do. So yeah, position yourself to succeed, to do what you love. And I guess what I'm saying, guys, is just be the rebel, blaze a trail, and rise up like a phoenix. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Got a bit of an encore now. There we go, that's me. Any questions?
Did you study? Did you do a BA or anything?
I did a BA in computer arts, and at the time it was in Coral Draw and Coral Photo Paint. This is how long ago we're talking. I feel really old. But to be honest with you, I learned most of what I do for myself. I just did like bits and pieces here and there, and you know, I think learning yourself by yourself, it can be hard, but it's a really good way to learn.
So the drawing on the iPad, did you just teach yourself to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I can draw a little bit, and it was just kind of like, I know Photoshop really well, so that all the painting was done in Photoshop. So it was a matter of kind of like just trying to reverse engineer that with a pen, because I'd never really done that before. And now in my process, that's like a big thing in my process. I always start now with a graphics tablet and actually drawing it out. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Have you left coding behind? Are you now fully visual?
I still code a bit on the side. I code my own site, and you know, sometimes my dad asks me for stuff. So he's like, "Oh, can you just like?" He's actually asked me to do some pop-ups or something for his new site. I'm like, okay. I dip in and out of it, but I prefer like this stuff. Obviously, this is more me. Thanks, man. Cheers. One at the back.
For the illustration, did you use Illustrator?
Which ones?
The ones you did.
This is Illustrator. This is pure Illustrator, which was like, so hard. This is so hard, honestly. Like, this is why it took me a year, because everything's like point to point, and then you look at it from a distance and it looks awful. Then you have to go back in and like go back in and do the circuits again. I was like, oh god. And the funny thing is, like, there was only 3 there. I actually had, like, if you go on my Instagram, there's like about 8 sketches I had, like of like other rockers, and I stopped at 3 because I was just fed up. And my girlfriend was going to kill me, so she was like, far too hard, stop it. Yeah, so yeah. Cool. Alright, thanks very much, guys.
No, thank you.